Wasn't that kid supposed to come back to us? That wants to go to the French club, wasn't he supposed to come back to us and let us know?
With it being 7 o'clock, I'd like to call the Cecil Township Board of Supervisors regular monthly meeting, Monday, August 2nd, 2021, to order. Please rise to salute our nation's flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Supervisor Savavic, Cassiola, Flair, Aguizio in attendance, along with Planning Director, Assistant Manager Jack King, Sean Bukovinsky, Police Chief, Engineer Dan Dizeroth, Township Solicitor Gretchen Moore. Citizens' comments. Comments will be taken at this time for any item to be voted on by the board that appears on the agenda. General Township comments or questions will be addressed after the Board of Supervisors' discussion of old business. Please step to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Kara Sheridan, 58 North of Holly. I had a question about 133-2021. Last month when we were here, we asked questions about when it was going to the Planning Commission. Didn't know for sure. There's no published Planning Commission agenda on the website, so between then and now, there was really no way to know if we could go hear about that at that Planning Commission meeting. So I guess a suggestion that there be some way that there are a bunch of people that want some more information on this particular topic. If there's a way we could put what's being held in during the the zoning board meeting, or anything that's being heard ahead of time that we could get prepared. And also, how do I personally get access to the information that was presented and approved through this first step of the process before conditional use hearing?
I don't think they even presented a plan yet.
What topic are we talking about? I don't see 123.
Yeah.
133.
What is it?
133.
133-2021, right?
Thank you.
It presented to the Planning Commission and it was approved. What?
It was, all the planning commission did was recommend that the supervisors hold the public hearing. So at the public hearing is the first step in the process. It's a clustered, it's a clustered development. So they have to come in and make a presentation as a conditional use to the Board of Supervisors. So they've not submitted anything detailed with the exception of a concept plan.
And that's what was reviewed by the Planning Commission.
It was reviewed by the Planning Commission. It was put forth to the board to recommend that a public hearing be held. So,
And at the public hearing, they'll present what the details of
yes,
that plan are?
yes.
All right, and do we know, are they filing as a PRD or is it under regular zoning?
They're filing under R2 as a cluster development.
Okay.
I'm sorry, R1 is a cluster development. And in R1, it requires, the density stays the same. Half of the property has to be open space. So they're only proposing, out of 130 acres, they're only proposing to develop 65 of it.
So at the hearing, they will present a detailed plan.
Yes,
That will
they'll,
then be voted on
No,
by.
it's not a detailed plan. It's not like the plan that the planning
It's-
commission
it's-
will review after.
it's a concept plan. If the board wants to approve this concept of a cluster development, or they say no, you can develop it as just as R1 the way it is.
If we approve it as a conditional use, then they'll go back to the planning commission with the regular subdivision with all the lines, lots and
where the
numbers.
entry point is, and if there's
Exactly.
place.
Oh, they'll show an
no.
entry point on this for the conceptual plan.
Okay, so what is being conditionally approved is a cluster plan,
Right.
a high-level cluster plan.
We didn't see that yet, we don't know.
Right, that's what I'm asking, like, if we don't have the information ahead of time and we're having a hearing about it, like, is there a way to have information ahead of time so that people, when they come to a hearing where something is gonna be approved, have the ability to ask questions before something gets quote-unquote
Well, we won't be voting on it at that conditional use hearing. We'll close it, and then you have time to make comments to the planning commission, to us, about the plan itself.
Okay, so there's no vote that happens, it's just the hearing and then subsequent meeting after that, it
Right, and if after the conditional use hearing is closed, we'll go back and we might get comments from the residents or from the engineer or from the solicitor, but we may then come up with conditions that we may say you have to do extra landscaping in this area, or we may come up with special conditions to approve it as a conditional use. It's basically a use by right with conditions. So we have to see their plan, and then that night we won't say, well, here are your conditions. We'll be seeing it for the first time, just like you.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't other information that was either presented to the planning commission or being provided, or that could be provided ahead of time, so that people coming to a hearing would be able to ask more informed questions as that comes up.
We can ask us then. We'll be asking the same things and adding if we need conditions.
Okay, all right. That was that.
Now, there are some base conditions in a conditional, for the application itself. There are certain required ones that are already in there, but we can add additional ones once we see their plan. Like if we don't like their entrance, there's nothing about it as a standard for an entrance yet, but if we don't like it, we can add, say, the condition is you have to move that down the hill or up the hill or do this or
Right.
take this hill out or something.
Right, or, there needs to be more place for wider road for parking or something, all those kind of things. we
Exactly.
adjust
Right.
that.
Yes. Yeah, you don't have to know those your questions yet.
Okay, and then there's a subsequent approval that has to happen at the planning commission level after this conditional use hearing and approval to move forward.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
So I was at that meeting as well, and board member Budovich talked about it, maybe a second entrance being made available. They had no public space, public building, community building, or a swimming pool or park or anything like that. So those were some issues already brought up by the board.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Those are the kind of things that have come up here time and time again. That would be good to know. The other question I had was regarding resolution 141-2020. There's something here called an agricultural security zone board. What is that? It's not a board I've ever heard of before. I'm just curious what it is and what the duties of that board would be.
Right, so that's an excellent question. There is a statute related to the ag security areas, and the statute provides for a board, and it's specific in what it requires. It requires 3 active farmers, 1 citizen resident, and 1 member of the local governing body. And I asked the same question today because I wasn't familiar with it. And my understanding is here in Cecil, they had one a while ago, but it hasn't been active in many, many years, maybe since 2000. So my understanding tonight is the board is going to start discussing what that looks like in terms of let's get that particular board going again. And my recommendation is going to be let's put it in a resolution too, so we can see somewhere what that board looks like. Do they want to put terms on it? Under the law, it's at the pleasure of the board, but they could certainly put terms and, some structure around the board. But it's just kind of defunct right now.
Well, I don't know if it's defunct. What happens is a property owner, you get some benefits if you get your property into an agricultural security district. Years ago, when it first came about, we had people asking, every month they'd come and ask to have theirs added to the agricultural security acreage. And after a while, when everybody who was interested made their application, they were accepted, that board would act on it, and then our board would act on it.
Right.
Then it died off. So, it's not that they were defunct so much as no one's asked in all these years.
So does that mean there are new requests coming in for, requesting?
I don't know what prompted this.
Otherwise, what is the duty of?
It's not just request to get in an ag security area. It's also the board has the duty of seeing who should be out based on the criteria if they believe people don't meet the criteria. So I believe it's new people in, if certain property needs to be out, so it's establishment, modification, termination of certain agricultural security areas. But it has to do with the ag security areas, which you
And
have.
they would look at that and make that board would make recommendations, which there within would have to be approved or denied by the board of supervisors, or it's a governing.
It ultimately comes to this board.
Okay. And the only reason, and I have no, concern over who's on this board, but just as a general rule of thumb, like we sat here a couple months ago and said, open board positions need to be advertised on the website. We said there needs to be a listing. This isn't listed as a board on the website. So in the spirit of transparency and making things, accessible to the public and knowledge of what's going on here, I would say that we should be listing that type of stuff, and we should make it be known that there's an open position there, so that maybe other people, because we didn't even know about it, I'm sure the public doesn't know about it. If they had some interest in, if there were others that were interested in participating, it would give them an opportunity to apply. So that's my only question or comment on that topic, so.
He might still be on it.
Thank you, Karen.
He's still on it, I don't know.
I think he is.
It's been so long, I forgot who hit that. They were active for a while in the
I think
90s.
Elizabeth's still on.
Is there a microphone? Jack?
Jeff O'Matic, 349 Grange Road, 142, 2021. The Common Pleas Court went in my favor, but I am still going to subdivide my house. So it's up for review this evening if you're going to appeal it or not. But I just want to let you know that I am still going to subdivide. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 130, 2021, consider application 2021-0015 for the Bell Landscaping Land Development Plan, contingent upon moving the sign to a location that complies with the ordinance requirements. Location, 40 Cecil Henderson Road, C1 General Commercial Zoning District, applicant Oliver Real Estate Holdings, LLC. The Planning Commission recommended approval on July 15, 2021.
What's wrong with where his sign is?
We don't approve, signs are approved by separate application. Liz reviews those with different criteria on. So we never want a sign on a site plan approved. That's a zoning officer decision. So, well, sometimes we get trapped with somebody shows them, hey, you approved that location and it doesn't meet the requirement. So,
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
I have a question, Dan, it's just so hard to see on ours.
sure. It's really the same layout that was before, Tom. They're proposing the existing buildings here up front. The storage of the materials would be, they have bins located here and here, back off of the road. They have some landscaping proposed in the front. They've verified that the sewage system that they have on site works. This building here is just going to be for storage, and that's it. No sanitary sewer connection, no offices, no anything else in it. So that's the only building that they're proposing right here. And their land development is just limited to this, kind of this little envelope right around here is all they're doing any work. And the big issue was the, this as a, the zoning decision as to this is what's the operation here. And they provided their business plan to the zoning officers, or as I understood it, as a landscaping company, not a contractor's yard, and they're just going to operate, they'll operate a retail business out of here in addition to their landscaping operation.
All right, I'm good.
Any more questions? Okay, we have a motion to second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 131-2021, consider application 2021-0020 for the Claffic subdivision plan, contingent upon addressing comments from the township engineer. Location 416 Coleman Road, R1 low density, Residential Zoning District, applicant Cecil Township. The Planning Commission recommended approval with the contingency on July 15, 2021.
Yeah, and they've since addressed all of our comments, so all the technical comments have been addressed. I just wanted to focus in on the, all they're doing here is a subdivision and consolidation. They're taking this line out, and they're combining it with what they call, they have Lot 2 here, and Lot A and 2 are combined together. It's just a two-lot subdivision at the end of the day, which will have the dwelling and Lot 2, and then there'll be one more lot, which is Lot 3. It's 2 lots right now. It'll be 2 lots in the end. So they're just changing where the lines are going to be located to create the new lot. So this lot gets bigger, and this one gets a little bit smaller.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 132, 2021, consider application number 2021-0021 for the revised Dominic Delbo Plat Adjustment Plan. Location 10 Muse Bishop Road, C2 Convenience Commercial Zoning District. Applicant Robert Mikulski. The Planning Commission recommended approval on July 15, 2021.
I got a couple problems with that. One, you have no ENS in, and that muddy water's going right down into the creek. And 2, it looks like you're just storing all your equipment there. 3, you hauled in wood to burn there and shrub. You gotta put ENS out.
Well, we can focus on that issue, but I think the issue at hand is a subdivision plan. So, is there a grading application in yet, Mr. Mikulski?
Right now, it's being worked on. We're trying to resolve, we had the subdivision already approved.
Right, this is just a revision to that.
So we were just trying to correct it so that the property line was off about 4 foot.
Yeah,
So we're just trying to get that corrected. It's already approved. We own the property, it's already approved. But before we move forward, we wanted to make sure we're moving forward on the right step. Again, the property line was off about 4 foot from the surveyor that we had used and paid. And we obtained a different surveyor who we felt was better handling, qualified to handle this for us. And they came out and they resurveyed it, and we paid them. And before we start to build, of course, we have, right now, there's still a lot in the works. Stormwater management, grading, highway occupancy permits. But that has nothing to do with the subdivision work. Right now, we're just trying to make sure that we have the correct property lines.
right,
for the subdivision.
that's the issue at hand, but are you working on the property?
I just have equipment sitting here right now.
Oh, okay,
We tore a house down, which we had a permit for.
right,
Okay.
Okay.
And there was some shrubs and debris, actually from the neighbor, that we pulled over there and we put it in a burn pile. And we obtained a burning permit, burned it, and there's still some stumps here, so we put some pallets in that there. Burn it while they were burning permit before we burn again. And I already spoke with Mrs. Ross about being able to do that. And they don't want garbage in that hauled in from other lots, I understand that. We had some other people put stuff there. That's why we parked some of the equipment in front of there, because I'm not there all the time. Somebody's parked, we're backing down in there and just unloading some cardboard and some debris there. But we tried to block that off so that doesn't happen anymore.
Supervisor Flair, I'll take up your issues with the zoning office tomorrow, but what's before you tonight is just a revised subdivision plan. So you're not giving any approval to any site work here. This is just to revise the lot lines and correct them. This plan was approved prior, and as Mr. Mikulski said, they've hired a new surveyor to correct it, so they're putting a new plan on record. That's all you have before you tonight.
Where did it move, or is that illustrated, or do we see the old
I
one?
believe that the lot lines, you see a dash, these dashed lines on here, these represent where the line was before. It's really a matter of the surveyor's issue. I think the same intent was there, but I think, Bob, there was a,
The front line was off, it wasn't straight with the road.
Yeah.
It was 4 foot off from the one side of the property to the other. I think we actually lost a little bit of the property because our other surveyor had the property line, it just wasn't straight with the road. And whenever, because of so many of the different things being involved here with the stormwater water management plan, highway occupancy permits and that, and this isn't just something that we, even though that there was a house there, the township's gonna require us to update all this and upgrade this, which is fine. We're willing to do that, and we're working with Redcon Engineering right now to try to make sure that we get this right. The first thing we wanted to do was correct the survey since it wasn't right before we move forward.
in the industry, this is called a corrective subdivision. When somebody makes or sets a property line wrong or does something wrong, there's a mistake made, you typically file a corrective subdivision. So this supersedes the previously approved recorded plan and corrects the makes the survey correct, and Mr. Mikulski can feel comfortable going ahead with his land development. So you'll see the land development back before you if it happens.
Was there an error and omissions? Did he get his money back from the first guy?
I don't provide those type of opinions.
All right.
What's this going to be, Bob? What do you intend on doing here?
We originally, I originally was buying a house from Little Freddie. We found the property line, they actually went down to the Mr. Delbo, Dominic Delbo's pool, through his fire pit, his pool, and half his backyard. So we revised the line 30 feet in front, we just apexed it. And I talked to Mr. Delbo, so he ended up buying the lot off of Freddie, I tore the house down, I bought it back off of Mr. Delbo after we had the subdivision done, so that we wanted to put some apartments there. We were told we couldn't build a single family home, but we were able to build some apartments there, so we can build between 4 to 8 apartments there. Within the, guidelines, leaving enough room for the driveway, leaving enough room with the stormwater management, do something with that with neighbors, instead of having like a pond here, we're gonna do it underground with neighbors in the back of the building.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Right now, I have a couple trailers parked down here, and I have my tractor and Holland and the tractor sitting there. And I decided to move that stuff down there because of the fact that we come down, and there was people, they were dumping furniture and everything else there, I don't know who they were. But, it is what it is, I mean, like I said, I don't have cameras up, I'm not there 24/7, but we'll try to, we did, when we first started it, we went ahead and we got a demolition permit, tore the house down. We wanted to burn some of the stumps, we put some pallets on the stumps, so we could finish burning the stumps in the back there. And, we got another burn permit for that. And then since then, we haven't burned down there again, so we're gonna get ready and try to do a final cleanup down here. What's left, we'll take the Michael brothers, we'll have them bring a dumpster out, whatever's left, and all that out.
Okay. Any more questions?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Passes 4-0. Resolution 133, 2021, consider setting a date for a public hearing regarding conditional use application 2021-0-2024 for the Silver Creek Cluster Housing Development. Location, Rising Road, R1 Low Density Residential Zoning District, applicant Miranda Homes. The Planning Commission recommended approval contingent upon addressing comments from the Township Engineer on July 15, 2021.
What are the comments?
Yeah, what contingencies or,
Contingencies of the planning commission, I'm not. Yeah, there were some minor things that they've already corrected related to the conditional use application.
the
some
application
additional-
itself?
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
additional
all right.
information. Yeah, that's all.
Just on that big application.
Is this meeting, would that work at 6 o'clock before next month's meeting? No? You anticipate?
This should be
Separate.
scheduled before August 17th.
August 17th, we need a special meeting though, too, then. Well, I mean, Eric, even if we could have done it before our next public meeting, I don't think an hour is enough time. There'll be a lot of interest in it.
2 weeks?
So pick a day to just schedule a hearing.
Right, it'd be just stand alone, yeah.
What about 2 weeks? 16th or Monday?
I'm good. Eric,
I'll make it work. Do we have enough time to advertise?
Yeah, you can get an ad in this week and next week.
do they have something scheduled,
No,
Jack?
this is here, conditional use.
Zoning Hearing Board meets
Is
on the
it?
16th.
Okay, do you have an
Okay.
alternative space?
How many things do they have on, Jack?
Two as of right now. That was the advertisement that we had today.
I mean, big issues or minor?
No, one's a 5-foot fence the guy wants to put up.
Oh, I read that, yeah.
I forget the other one, something.
Is anybody on the 23rd?
No, it's too late, she said. It has to be by the,
It's about 17th.
You could do the 17th.
well, yeah, they'll move. I mean, we can ask the zoning board to go next door. They say it's sort of two minor issues they have. We'll have probably a lot of people here.
That's fine.
Okay, 7 o'clock,
Add in this
Yeah.
week and then next week.
August 16th at 7 o'clock. Resolution 134, 2021, consider application 2021-0025 for the Dominic Delbo Plan of Lot Subdivision Plan, location 17 Muse Bishop Road, C2 Convenience Commercial Zoning District, applicant Dominic Delbo. The Planning Commission recommended approval on July 15, 2021.
This is just another, let me zoom in. This is another elbow tract that's located off of Muse Bishop Road. And, we're creating a separate lot here, lot number 1. And it has a sanitary sewer easement, or will have a public sewer. All of our conditions have been met. The lot complies. It's a 1.369 acre lot that's being created.
Is this across the street, Dan, from,
It's kind of catty corner from where we are. I mean, this is Dennis Flair's property. It's a little bit further up East Bishop Road. Do you know where that is?
yeah,
So this is right across the street from there. There's an existing dwelling there, so it's a little bit further up. So the house would be up, located further, a little further past that. There's the site, Frank, there's a site location map. Here. Shows you a little bit further. There's if you can see down in the corner there where my cursor is. This is 980 right here. This is East Bishop Road. So it's just a little bit further up the road.
what's the intent on placing here, Dan?
There hasn't been any, nothing submitted in the way of any application for the property yet.
Okay.
So we don't know what they want to do with it. All they're doing is subdividing the lot.
Which they're allowed to do.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second,
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 135-2021, consider rescinding the previous approval for the Omega Building Company land development for a self-storage facility and approving the conditional use and site plan as follows. Number 1, receiving written notification from West Penn Power to use their right-of-way. Number 2, applying the notice of the requirement of a state highway occupancy permit per section 504C-25F of the Township UDO to the land development plan.
Yeah, so explanation on this, last month, the board approved this change to the plan, which was previously approved. They're proposing one building, one self-storage building on here. And as I understand the discussion, they talked about using access from South Point Boulevard to come in and build this building. We had been given some information by the property owner, Tom Robinson, and his attorney related to that access off of South Point Boulevard. I provided that information to the township solicitor, and it does appear that Mr. Robinson does have legal access off of that portion of the road. That being said, the township's requirement, and the only thing that we're required to do in terms of policing is to make sure that there's a note put on the plan that notifies the property owner that if they do need a state occupancy, highway occupancy permit, it's their requirement to get. So if it sort of takes us out of the picture, so we don't police that. I don't recommend that we get involved in the policing of the state highway occupancy permit because it's not of our interest. It's a third-party permit, and all of our approvals are typically based upon them getting that on their own. So the problem is the way the recommendation for approval was written last month, it was requiring correspondence from PennDOT saying that he had access. They're never going to give him that letter. They've already requested that from him. So this is kind of a battle between the property owner and PennDOT. But I think they're going to let him use it, in my opinion, and probably just turn their head because they don't really have a footing to stand on not to give him the access. So
For construction.
for construction, yeah, and he has another site that he submitted to the township to create a fill site up above here. We've not acted upon it yet because we were waiting on that information that he provided. So there is more to come up here, you know, in terms of what Mr. Robinson wants to do with his property. And again, Gretchen can give her opinion, but I think that we cover ourselves. The note has been added to the plan already. And so all we're waiting on is them to get approval from West Penn Power to work within this right of way. And they understand they have to get that. So that's the reason for the redo on the approval.
I thought West Penn Power owned that right away on the 79.
I believe that it's a right of, they have an overhead right of way. People use the word, people use right of way and easement synonymously. And they have different meanings depending upon how the way it's written. It's my understanding is that the applicant is allowed to do stuff underneath there subject to their rules and regulations. So they have to get West Penn Power to give them that approval to work under there.
Oh, Bill, who gave you the right of way in and out of there?
They don't own it fee simple.
Bill, who gave you the right of way to go in and out for the Salt Dome? For the salt up there.
I've never received formal approval from anybody, except that we have a good relationship with West Penn Power. We have, and we don't have a formal agreement with them. We've always maintained the roadway back into their substation, and for that, they provided us with a source of power at no charge to the township.
And the site itself too.
If you go out there at night when Mark and Randy are out there operating our big trucks, it's like PNC Park up there. That's the kind of lighting they put in. And they provided us with a 220 outlet to put our block heater, or plug our block heater in for our loader equipment. So it's just an exchange of services with West Penn Power right now. We don't have, as far as I know, any type of formal agreement to that.
Okay.
Hey, Ron, I got a question for the board. When Robinson was in here getting a permit to build them units, your solicitor in the board stated that I was not landlocked on the about 3 acres that I own there. She made the comment that I wasn't landlocked, that I wasn't entitled to a right-of-way that I had verbally agreed with my brother to enter my property. Robinson bought the property off my brother. Township didn't want to uphold or state that I could have a right-of-way through Robinson's property now that he owned it, and stated that my property was not landlocked, that I could go in off of that property. So I think she needs to answer that question.
So I think he's referring to the previous conditional use opinion that you all had the hearing on, and there was the issue of whether he was landlocked, and it was kind of a self-created situation, and that was a separate opinion. That was different than this particular situation. So that issue isn't an issue in this hearing, or the hearing that you all held last month.
I don't understand how it's not wrong. If it's, if I have right of way going in there, why wouldn't Robinson have it? In the township's using it, why wouldn't I have it? Why wouldn't Robinson have it?
So nothing about your decision last month spoke to legal right-of-ways and access. You know, we did a legal opinion as to what happened with the deed transfers and who has legal access. That had nothing to do with your decision last month's hearing.
And Dan, Eric asked that, is it just for construction or?
No, he's gonna bring his heavy trucks in that way for
I
his
mean,
landfill.
just for that, or to access that property later, as he builds his building?
There's no plans to do anything and access off it for like the public or anything like
I
that.
was just curious.
It's just construction, that's all that I've been told at this point.
But again, it really has nothing to do with us. If he gets if he has to get a PennDOT permit, he has to. It's on the
Correct.
plan, in other words.
That's correct.
So you're saying if I go to do anything on my property, I'm gonna have to get, PennDOT approval? And if they say no, then that means I'm landlocked.
Want me to answer that?
I think, I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think that's a legal question for.
I think the same information that Mr. Robinson provided, I'm not sure if that applies to your property or not, but he provided a legal opinion that he had title to the driveway that touches the property, which comes off of South Point Boulevard. I'm not sure if your property has that same title. When PennDOT did the taking up there, did they grant access to your property also? He invested in a lawyer to do the research and give him an opinion, which he provided to the township, that says that he has legal access to the highway. Whether or not PennDOT says he can use it or not, that's a whole different subject. That's all we're talking about here tonight. And we're not even talking of this property that's in front of the board tonight doesn't even touch that driveway. It just happens that Mr. Robinson owns the property adjoining, and he plans to use it to construct this site, so he doesn't come in through the little development there while he's building this. That's all we're talking about. So we're not really rendering any opinion on your property tonight or talking about that access at all, other than, you know, if he needs a permit, he needs a permit. That's all we're talking about. I can review it with you off the record. I can talk to you about it.
Okay, do I have a resolution on 135, 2021?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 136, 2021, consider approval of pay application number 1 in the amount of $67,761 to Thornbury Incorporated for work to date on the Ridgewood Drive Bridge.
As the board has seen, the work has started on the bridge. They've completed the demolition. I drove by tonight and saw that they're already forming the repairs to the abutments. So we verified this amount of money that's to be paid in accordance with the contract and would recommend payment.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 137, 2021, consider approval of pay application number 1 in the amount of $93,397.50 to Independent Enterprises Incorporated for work to date on the Creedmoor Street Bridge.
The same goes for this project. Work has been started and advancing, and this is for work complete to date that the contractor's completed in accordance with the contract documents and would recommend payment in this amount.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain. 3 yes, 1 abstain. Resolution 138, 2021, consider the purchase of two F-550 dump trucks with plow and spreader at a cost of $94,637 each. The units will be purchased under CoStar's contract 25-032.
Supervisor Gizio, this was conditionally approved in May to move forward with the purchase of two 550s. And the condition at the time was to get back to the board with the actual cost. And we were finally able to nail down the actual cost. Of course, vehicle prices are in a state of flux right now. And we have a 30-day execution on the order for these trucks at a cost of $94,637 each. The total cost for both trucks would be $189,274. We're requesting formal authorization to move forward with the purchase this evening.
I second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
It wasn't
Thank
part
you.
of the budget this year.
You're welcome, Bill. Resolution 139, 2021, consider a fireworks display for the Cecil Township Fall Festival at a cost of $3,500.
I'd like to maybe make a motion that this be tabled. I'd like the opportunity to speak with the Parks and Rec Board and just see if there's a better venue that this would maybe work for. I was at the last fireworks for the Fall Festival, and if you think about it, the Fall Festival's over at 5, 6 o'clock, and then everyone's gone, everything's locked up, all the booths are shut down. So I watched them down by the concession stand with about 6 other people, the workers mainly, and I think only, I don't know what, 20, 25 people saw the fireworks all together. So maybe it'd just be more appropriate if this was something tied into just a better event. Maybe a night at the movies or movies in the park, just something other than Fall Festival when everything's shut down.
I feel they're planning to fill that time gap in there from when the festival shuts down to when the fireworks actually take place. That's what I've heard.
So
Maybe possibly another band.
2.5, 3 hours? Yeah, I just don't
Well, I mean-
feel that that's the right place for it.
We're talking that time of year, it probably gets dark, what, 8
9:30?
o'clock? No, I mean, we're into what, the end of September where it's getting dark at probably 7:30. So there's a small time frame you have to fill a gap with, possibly a band, scheduling maybe another hour.
No. Well, the same thing happens. They close down at 6 or 7. You're there because you're always there working, but yeah, it's just maybe not the appropriate event. I don't know. I asked a motion on the floor to table it, just to ask the parks if there was something better.
Can't they just stay open longer?
Jack, was this scheduled for a Saturday or a Sunday night evening? It's scheduled for Saturday. Yeah, which I think would be appropriate. I mean, the right place, time to do it.
Are you willing to go to the Parks Board and talk to them about some new?
I would.
Another event? It can't hurt.
Do we have a time limit, or what's the issue to put this through?
Well, yeah, there's a purchase of fireworks and that. It has to be, purchased in advance.
How many do you think were there that last time?
I mean, the weather got bad, it got windy, we were threatened with a rainstorm, and it held off where he was able to perform the show. I was down here outside the building with, I don't know, a couple dozen people, and then you were up at the concession stand. I mean, I think the weather played a factor in that evening, scaring people away. But if they're willing to fill that time slot a little closer to the fireworks, with a band playing another hour or something, I think would be good.
I also think there were a lot of people sitting in a parking lot in their cars.
I saw some cars by the basketball hoops as well, but just wasn't do we want the draw for the festival? Is it part of the festival? The festival was shut down 2 hours earlier. Do we want people going through the park? There's no lights for any of the booths or any of that stuff. The booths may be interfering with the park lights for walking through the paths. It's an after our event. I just put a motion on table to motion to table.
Do they need to get them ordered now? Is that the point, or we can't wait till the beginning of September?
Yeah, no, you would have to purchase in advance fireworks. You couldn't wait that long close to the show.
I'll tell you what, he did a phenomenal job last time. I mean, we had all the fire protection there and everything.
I think his point is that if
Yeah.
a separate event, some night event at the park, it could be fireworks feature and some event.
Well, can't we try and schedule more events so it doesn't close out early?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Do I have a motion on the floor?
I have a motion to table.
I have a second.
Hmm?
He's making a motion to table it. Do I have a second?
Take a vote.
I'll make a motion, we go through with the fireworks.
I second it, yeah, to go through with the fireworks display. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Passes
But
3-1.
I think we do need to talk to Parks and Rec Board and see if, what we can do in that time period.
I'm sure they will schedule something that can be worked out. Passes 3-1. Resolution 140, 2021, consider the July 27, 2021 letter from the Parks and Rec Board to add alcohol sales at the Fall Festival managed by the Muse Fire Department. Any
Here's your
discussion?
answer on what to do.
I think that should be managed by all the fire departments.
There's your answer on what to do, yep. I don't know if the police are like that.
I really think it should be managed by all three fire departments so they can all draw some money from it.
Again, we would have the police department oversee it, stage in that area up there, because we all know what can happen, one bad apple, so. Chief, you can help out up that end.
Come on, Chief, speak up. What will you do?
Well, we're just gonna be walking around. We
It's not
can't
on.
it's not on. We can't oversee it, but of course, if there's a call, public in talks, I mean, we just encourage whoever's be responsible of serving, keeps an eye on. If someone has too much, don't serve them. But of course, you know, we can't really be around it, the location, but we're there if needed.
From what I understand, it's, they've rented pavilion number 3. Is that correct, Jack? Okay, so it's sort of be away from, the other events.
What's your one suggestion about all three of them?
Yeah.
Would the other departments
Well,
wanna be
that's,
part
I mean, that's up to, Cecil 3 and, 1 Lawrence and Cecil 3 if they want to partake.
Or Max?
Yeah, I spoke with the Lawrence Fire Department actually today, and they offered their help to be involved.
Danny, are you interested?
No, we made a motion at our meeting to not be involved because of the alcohol issues. We didn't want to be a sponsor of something like that and being involved in that.
Well, we've rented the, pavilion number 3 to Muse Fire Hall. Does that relieve us of liability? I mean,
Muse Fire Department has the liquor license. Cecil Township does not. So by renting them the Pavilion 3, that falls under their liquor license.
okay.
And you all have a standard, like vendor rental agreement that, you know, once they're a renter, they would enter into that agreement, and there's a liability provision in there as well, so that helps.
It helps, yeah.
Do I have a motion on the floor? I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in
We have
favor?
discussion?
Sure, go ahead.
So is this going to be amended? Is it going to say all the Cecil departments that want to participate?
Well,
Well, that-
they don't,
Lawrence
I
County
don't
is
know,
different. They have
can
a
we do
license.
that?
I understand,
Yeah.
but
I don't think Station 10 decided to vote against it in an official meeting, and I don't think it can.
well, you could open it to Lawrence? You could open it to Lawrence Fire Station?
Yeah, and I just have a verbal agreement.
But that's maybe what I'm after, if they want to participate and assist. Let's amend it to include Cecil Fire Departments.
That's fine.
I mean, they're gonna have to police it some too.
Absolutely.
I mean, if somebody's not buying beer and taking it out to kids.
That's one of the reasons we have them over here. Sorry, that's one of the reasons we're suggesting putting it at Pavilion 3. It's across the stream. There'll be entrance guards, basically. The package that ultimately Parks and Recreation would like to offer is a T-shirt, a plastic Cecil Township logo mug, and one beer with one refill. Anything after that is going to be ticketed, and that'll be handled by the fire departments.
Yeah, if they can't get over the hump, they had too much in the bridge.
Sorry to hear you.
If they can't get over the hump in the bridge, they've had too much.
Mr. Chairman, question on the motion.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Eric, you
Say aye.
passes 4-0. Resolution 141, 2021, considered recommendation of active farmers John Yago, Bruce Gazvoda, and Paul Sharkety as Agricultural Security Zone Board members.
So let me just raise, before you all consider this, that Ms. Sheridan made a good point at the beginning that we have a resolution related to open boards and open positions. You could consider not tabling it today, posting something, and when you post something on the internet, you can actually describe what it is. You could cite to the statute to describe the board, who's on it, and what their duties are, and then
I
get some
agree.
interested people, and then just come back in
Make the motion
September.
to table this.
I was saying to Tommy, I think they have a board already, because I know Brian McConnell was on it. Elizabeth,
There was, yeah, there is a board, and it met a long time ago. I think not since 2000. From,
90s, they met a lot
and,
in the
yeah.
90s.
But they have other duties other than adding to the ag security area. This particular board statutorily has duties related to, they advise you all and work with the Planning Commission in relation to propose establishment, modification, and termination of ag security areas. They render expert advice relating to desirability of the action, advice related to nature of farming and farm resources within the area. So they have a broader.
They do have, not a charter, but a board, like an outline. So I don't think they were required to meet any certain amount of times, other than just to do duties as they came up.
Sure, statutorily, it just says there is a board, and these are the things they should be doing. Now,
So
you,
the suggestion is just to table this until you can
So
put it on the website.
advertise.
yeah,
we
you
have a
can, you
motion
could add
and
the language
Tommy
from the
seconded.
statute to the website so that people understand what you're, what the board is and what you're looking for, vote on in September, and perhaps even draft a little short resolution so that for your formal, records, you have something that says, okay, this is the board and this is how you all have established it with terms and things like that.
So Frank, you have a motion and a second?
Table.
To table. All those in favor say aye.
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 to what, table?
To table.
Just tell Rich wants to write something.
Ron,
What?
what's your vote on? Aye.
Yeah.
Passes 4-0. Resolution 142, 2021, considered a motion to appeal decision of a common pleas to Commonwealth Court related to the Omatic zoning matter.
In regards to Jeff speaking beforehand and saying that he was going to rezone the property, re-subdivide it, I would make a motion to consider not appealing the decision of the Court of Common Pleas to Commonwealth Court related to the Omatic zoning matter.
I'm going to second that.
Well, discussion as far as, this is zone residential, correct, right now?
Correct.
What's the time frame for the?
So this wouldn't be due until mid-August, August 18th, I believe. And just that you all understand, and I've updated you with my legal advice, but there is a concern about someone saying they're going to subdivide and then actually doing it. That was a concern throughout this hearing, which has lasted about a year now in terms of the hearing and appeals. We would all, and the township would be happy if they did subdivide. That would resolve the problem, but I'm not sure it would be done before the time to appeal, which is mid-August, I'm sorry. I think it's August 18th.
Then I will amend that motion so that we add the condition on, we at least get a letter from the property owner saying that he'll subdivide it.
I would second that amendment.
So you're saying if you got
Just
just
with
a
a
letter
letter.
saying they intend to do it, you don't want to appeal?
Right.
That's right.
Okay, I would still have concerns that
Right.
it's just a letter that's never, might not ever get
Why
done.
wouldn't we hold?
What if DEP won't approve, let the subdivision go?
Wait, say it again? Say it into the microphone.
What if the concern on the subdivision all along has been that if Mr. Omatic attempts to subdivide, that the DEP is going to require comprehensive sewage for the rest of the property? So it's not as simple as just getting an on-lot permit for the lot that he's intending to subdivide, so.
Right.
I
It might not
prefer-
be as straightforward as,
Yes,
You all
I
hope.
just provide that as background, that, you know, although the intent might be there to subdivide, there might be a environmental impediment in the way.
and just additionally, you all have my opinion on just the implications and precedent that some of the language in the order may set for other properties in the township. And that's, I already sent that to you all for consideration, and that's something I think that's important for the township.
And further to discussion, or I would lean on the side that the property owner would be permitted to do what he'd like within reason.
Well, no, you can't.
Within reason.
If there is a subdivision, there would be no problem. And even if there's an appeal and there's a subdivision, it's not a problem, because that cures the problem.
Well, not-
And if the
not-
township wants to withdraw an appeal at some point in the future,
Well,
That's fine,
as
too.
Dan said, that doesn't even necessarily solve all the problem. There's still a matter of the on-lot disposal, right, Dan? That's the other issue.
that would be part of the subdivision process.
Well, but I think Jeff's getting rid of most of the trailers, right, Jeff? And the only thing you wanted to subdivide off was your house. Them trailers aren't in separate lots, are they?
I'm not against this or whatever, I'm just saying that there's been inquiries made to the DEP on this matter, and the DEP said that they are going to, you know, they're gonna want all the trailers addressed too.
Oh, the what?
The trailers on the remainder of the property before they would approve a planning module. A planning module is required for any subdivision in the Commonwealth if you're creating a lot. So that's a requirement. Look, you can make the attempt, Mr. Omatic. I'm just saying that I think we went down this route already. I think we were trying to look at a subdivision before, but that's the difficulty. I mean, maybe they'll change their mind, but, you know, I'm just telling the board that it's going to be a challenge.
How many trailers are gonna be left?
But they're all Wildcat, Ron.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
The motion on the board is not to appeal the decision of the Court of Common Pleas. So I'm a little tired of all the litigation going on as well. So I'm saying, do not appeal the decision of the Court of Common Plea.
You make that motion, Eric?
How soon you plan on subdividing?
We would,
What's that?
But they said that doesn't solve the problem. I thought it did.
so the motion, Frank, is Tom's, that stated that there would be a letter put together for a not to appeal the court decision from the Common Pleas Court of Commonwealth Court.
But wait, I do have one more question then, Dan. So if it takes the DEP a while to do anything more about it, what's the consequence to not having appealed?
Then you have no leverage to do anything.
But if the DEP isn't gonna allow something that he wants to do, it has nothing to do with us on what they're dealing with, so he couldn't do things separate from us anyway. I mean, even if we were out of the picture, the DEP still has their permitting it in the process, right, Dan?
I mean, they control whether we would be able to,
For planning module.
To subdivide.
yeah, to subdivide.
If they say
Doesn't he have
no,
a 10-acre
it can't be
exemption?
subdivided.
I thought, do you have a 10-acre exemption?
You can't have it for multiple, you can't have
You
it,
still can't put
No,
multiple
not
single.
with multiple act.
10 acres.
so if the solicitors tell us that, like what Dan said, that we can't even do a subdivision, approving a subdivision if the DEP won't approve a planning module.
Or it would be costly. Is that what you, is it possible, but you're saying more costly for that, for the what the DEP wants?
Well, the DEP would want comprehensive sewage on the whole property.
Right.
So I don't know what the solution is for Mr. Omatic to service the remaining units that are on the site, but it would, based upon what I know, it wouldn't be. Yeah, again, we don't control that process.
Yeah, we're not in that part of the process.
Yeah, that, I'm just but I agree with Supervisor Cassiola. I mean, we're not one way or another. Just know that all I wanted you to know was the subdivision's not guaranteed. He can make application for it, he can make application for the planning module and see if it goes, but it's highly unlikely based upon what they know.
Can we table this or no?
The appeal deadline is mid-August.
Pardon me?
The appeal deadline is mid-August. It's just,
We're-
just for the notice of the filing of appeal.
We're having a,
17th.
yeah, we're having a meeting anyhow, we can advertise that way.
16th.
16th, is the 16th too late? That's near the middle, but it's not.
No, I can get the exact date. Oh, actually, that's on my
For what
report.
objective? What would you be looking for, Tom? See if a taxpayer has the right to do something on his property?
8/18,
The 18th.
8/18, yeah.
We've gone down this road before in South Point on Ironwood where the property owner came to us with a subdivision. He was legally entitled from our ordinance to subdivide some property there off of the Ironwood. The neighbors around objected to it because all their sales literature showed that it was all supposed to be left as green space. Well, they wanted us to stop it, and we couldn't, so, because sales literature doesn't affect how our ordinance is written. We had to approve that subdivision. They went to court, and the court ordered us to reverse that subdivision and take it off of them. So basically, the residents won on that issue. With the DEP, I think what Dan's saying, that if they don't go along with the subdivision, we won't have a subdivision, yet we'll still have that issue that sets precedent for our ordinance if it's at least not appealed.
Correct.
How long would it take to, wait, one more thing. How long would it take to go through an appeal process once it's filed?
So appeals to the Commonwealth Court are running about a year. I mean, you file the notice of appeal, and then there'll be a briefing schedule. That's probably be a couple months off, and then an argument will be scheduled, and then it's waiting for a decision,
Well, how much,
a year or so.
well, so I mean, that would give him time to work on that, to see if he can go through that with the DEP, right, Dan?
Investigate it, yeah, sure.
Well, if we appealed and there was no issue with what Dan mentioned, it's still gonna be that same year for Commonwealth Court to do what they're gonna do. I mean, if there's an appeal, whether it's based on this subdivision or not, it's still a year or more, like she said. Well, if not, I guess not if there's an appeal. But it could be settled out, right? I mean, it could be settled if they issue that permit that Dan's talking about, then the appeal could be dropped, right?
Of course, it could always be withdrawn and a resolution reached another way.
Well, at least give us, Frank, can we schedule a special meeting before our hearing on the 16th?
16th it is.
16th? That's at 7, at even 6:30?
Okay.
There'll be a special meeting at 6:30 to act on this, and then go right into the conditional use hearing.
Okay, is everybody fine with that?
Yeah.
All right, Eric, you okay? 6:30, August 16th?
Yeah, well, how are you gonna deal with, we have a motion and a.
Well, we
Take-
table. I mean,
Make a new motion.
Motion to
To
table.
table the, you want, is that what you want?
Yes, the table.
Table this to, go ahead, Tom, you say it.
To this special meeting on the 16th at 6:30 PM.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 143, 2021, consider revised Phase 1 and Phase 2 addendum to Developers Agreement for the Traditions of America Plan.
So if you recall, last fall, there was addendum to both of these related to the Han Road Bridge, and you passed a resolution related to that. There have been modifications made to the bridge component of it. They've been agreed upon between Dan and the developer. So these two addenda, which I sent to you all, just amend the developers' agreements for those two phases and address the bridge scope of work.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 144, 2021, considered appointment of Jason Wheeler to the Parks and Recreation Board to serve until January 2025.
Make a
moved.
motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0.
Thank you, Jason.
Resolution 145, 2021, consider the Board of Supervisors' regular monthly minutes from the Tuesday, July 6, 2021, Cecil Township Board of Supervisors' regular monthly meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 146, 2021, consider the general fund invoices from July 1st through July 31st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
A second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Board of Supervisors discussion of new business. Any new business?
Maybe old business.
Old business? Go ahead, Eric.
Just that there was circulating the ABB draft for, what was it called? Settlement and release. What's the amount we're up to, Gretchen, or do you know what the total is on that ABB property? What is the total that we have invested into? Yes.
I don't have the exact figure.
About 158,000.
Jack, are you familiar with the number? Or Dan? I don't have the figure with me. I know it's been circulated a bunch of times.
Is there or 258,000?
240.
240,000?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a reason that wasn't addressed in the document, settlement and release?
Well, they don't know
Right,
us
because as I said at the last meeting, unless you all want to enter into litigation with them, there is no exchange of funds related to, it's a mutual walkaway. And there was no appetite or vote to want to litigate with them.
No. That's just poor stewards of the money, of the taxpayers. So just walk away. Is the agreement the gist of it?
Correct. They're not suing you, you're not suing them.
So
They're not coming after you for money, we're not going after
So
them.
the residents are out of $240,000. So every month that this board said, I approve the minutes, I approve the general fund, I approve the dollar spent for the previous month, every month that happened, we let that go on for 18 months. Every month that we approved those, we were saying yes to buying the ABB property.
Oh, speak for yourself.
And then, did you say yes on any, on?
Never said
No.
yes.
Never said yes?
Never.
For any of them?
Anything to do with ABB, I never once said yes. Speak for yourself.
You waited a year, you You yourself waited 15 months after you were elected to come to that decision that we were no longer going to do this. I just say that it's wrong. I think that we should be trying to recoup some of that $240,000 for the residents and be good stewards. Even if we turned that into a park or did something with the property.
can't
They
put a
spent,
park up there.
they hauled 2,300 truckloads of dirt out of there, and they spent, what was it, $6 million?
No.
We don't just turn our backs on $240,000 that it's not your money. That's all I have. Any other?
I never once said yes to anything about ABM.
Did you approve the monthly budgets?
What's that?
The monthly budgets. So the monthly budgets, when the chairman would read, do you approve the minutes and do you approve the general fund invoices from July 1st through July 31st?
We don't see all them invoices.
Every month that you approve, you're saying okay to all of those.
You.
That's right, and I still think that we shouldn't be getting out of that deal. That's all I have. There was one second order that was paperwork on the appeal for the Bernard Schultz that came across our desk or being circulated. How has that proceeded, or where's that at now, Gretchen? Did we form an appeal? Did we
So the appeal deadline was today. Range filed an appeal last week. We filed a notice of appeal on behalf of the township. It's called a protective notice because I understand that both sides want to try to, in very short order, settle the matters related to the conditions. So there'll be meetings scheduled this week, hopefully, and a resolution that can come before the board, I hope, for September.
So I did call you and illustrate that I spoke with Tom, and there was no, we were saying no. We did not desire to appeal. And I did speak with Frank also, and he said that he did have no conversation with anyone in regards to that topic, the Bernard Schultz well. So who did you act on? Why did you act on filing the appeal if we said no and Frank didn't talk to anybody in regards to that topic?
My understanding is a majority of the board wants to get the matter resolved, and you can't get it resolved without filing the appeal, which is due today before your meeting.
And who told you that you had a majority of the board?
I spoke to the chairperson.
Okay, that's where the issue is. If Frank isn't aware of that and didn't have the topic, nobody can just assume to vote and tell him how he's going to be voting. The chairman is one of 5 board members, and you shouldn't be listening to her. So we have to change the process, or something has to be made better. Supervisor Cassiola and myself said no, Frank wasn't aware of it. He told me this morning. Is that correct, Frank?
Yeah, it's just a cover appeal. There's no cost to it. It's just so we can sit down and hash issues out with Range Resources. There's no cost to this.
We have talked to sit down with Range
not
at a
vote.
table, face to face, rather than, no offense, spending all this money on attorneys and everything.
Well, you're doing it. You're filing an appeal. You're filing an
not
appeal.
filing
You're going back against what the judge says.
Zero. It's a cover appeal.
There's a filing fee. It's a notice of appeal. It's 1 page, and there would be activity in the
Well-
near future, next month or so, but in the meantime, the parties can sit down and get it resolved. I understand they want to have discussions this week.
No one spoke to Frank. I said no, Tom said no. That's 3 votes. That's 3 votes.
Yeah, I talked to her.
That's 3 votes. So something has to change. Either you cannot be tallying the board or questioning the board, or we get that directly from the township manager, or, yeah, just something has to change. You didn't have, you spoke with the chairman, one of 5 supervisors that
The
told you
process
to
that I
file the
always
appeal.
utilize happened. You were all informed multiple occasions with multiple emails with my recommendations and, what you want to do. You knew the deadline was before the meeting today. So I just filed a notice of appeal. If you all want to withdraw it in the future, you can decide to do that. But at this point, we're going to sit down and have some settlement discussions, which wouldn't be happening.
No, you
And I
don't act by just what the chairman says.
Mr. Gizio just said he understands it's a protective an appeal and he wants to.
Frank said that he didn't know, he didn't have any discussions with anyone. That's wrong.
I just heard him say
Either the
otherwise.
attorney has to go, the chairman has to go, or something has to happen.
I did speak with Supervisor Fisher after talking to you this morning, Eric, and she explained to me it's a cover
Then
appeal.
why did you tell me you didn't speak with anyone?
After I spoke with you this morning, later on in the day,
And Gretchen had already filed it.
it's a cover appeal.
I actually just filed it late this afternoon,
Okay,
after I was told that.
let's do things the right way.
I think we are, Eric, but you shouldn't be.
No,
shouldn't be
I'll hold
bashing
them accountable.
Cindy when she's not here to defend
I'll hold
herself.
her accountable.
You can do that if
She
you want.
doesn't have the right to tell Gretchen the pulse of the board when she didn't speak with Supervisor Aguizio. That's all I have to say.
Any more?
You're the chairman now.
No, I'm asking you, got anything more? We're bringing up all this old business.
I'll provide you all with a timestamp copy.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any citizens' comments?
Kara Sheridan, 58 North DePauli. So my question is, did you provide, Eric, did you provide the solicitor with written confirmation that you did not want to pursue this motion that she filed, which she's just trying, from what I can see from an outsider's perspective, trying to protect the citizens and giving us the time and use as supervisors the time to make an informed decision? Did Mr. Savavic or Mr. Cassiola provide notification that they did not want to pursue a protective appeal, which would give the adequate time to make a decision? He chooses not to answer the question.
Do you want to address the board?
Yeah, I'm addressing the
Mr.
board.
Chairman, could you have her address the board?
Yeah, ask you.
Why should she be questioning me?
on the board.
I spoke.
Throwing
I
someone under
spoke-
the bus who's not
I
even
spoke my
here,
piece. We're not
Supervisor
campaigning.
Savavic.
I don't need your
Are we not
campaign material.
campaigning?
No.
Are you sure? So I'm just here to say, to blindly consider not having a discussion around a counter set of concerns around the Bernard Schultz conditions is concerning to me. The fact that you would blindly accept that, just roll over and say whatever they say is okay with no further discussion on the matter is extremely concerning to me. And I'd like to know also if that is also Supervisor Casciola's position, that you'd just like to accept further, with no further discussion, the conditions that were rejected as part of the appeal.
The solicitor asked if we wanted to comment, if we wanted to appeal. I didn't respond one way or the other.
Okay, so he just said you did, and you said you didn't want to. You didn't want to do it, he said. And Frank didn't say anything about wanting to do it. But he's standing here and saying 3 people, that there was no...
2 said no, and 1 said he
Who
didn't
said
hear
no?
on the
Which 2
topic.
said no?
Myself and Tom.
Okay, he just said he didn't say anything.
He shared with me that
Okay, but he
his
didn't say
position
anything
was
to
a
the
no.
solicitor. What is she
Mr. Chair,
supposed to do?
do you have to allow him to be on stand, or she can
What
address
is
the
he,
board
what
if
is
she
she
has any
supposed to
issues?
do? You're throwing her under the bus in front of all these people.
Throwing who?
and- The solicitor.
She should have the total and know
You're calling her out.
that she cannot listen to one member of the board to go and
So
file
the
an
one member
appeal.
she should listen to is you?
Eric,
No.
that's been the
I
line
gave
of
my vote.
communication.
I
sorry.
gave my vote,
Eric.
and I gave Tom's vote.
Well, as Gretchen stated, that's been a line of communication. She's, corresponded with the chairman on matters.
So I'm saying he's making incorrect statements in front of the audience here, that 2 or 3 members, it started off with 3 members, were against it. And now we're down to 2 members, and now Tom is saying he didn't say that. And I'm just saying, I disagree with the statements that you're making, Supervisor Savavic, and that you're saying incorrect facts at this point in time, and that you can't do that when someone's here not to defend them, because Cindy isn't here to say what happened or didn't happen with respect to her line of communication.
All I know is I called and I shared the information with Gretchen that Tom and I were voting no.
Hey, is that Tom's
I
responsibility?
immediately called Frank, and Frank said he didn't have discussions with anyone on the topic.
Correct.
When I spoke with Gretchen, she stated that she was already filing the appeal.
Right.
So wait a minute, something's out of line. I'm anxious to see her timeline that she talks about.
And I'm anxious to understand why you
Because
think the
he
one
said
person...
no one knew, he said no one had talked to him for or against it.
I understand what you're
So
saying.
that's the 3rd vote. So how did Cindy get 3 votes?
How did
she
you
ass-
get 3 votes?
Did she assume that Frank was going to vote the way she does?
All I'm saying is you're claiming that she shouldn't listen to Cindy.
That's,
She should listen to you instead.
no.
But
The
my
board,
point is all.
it's a 5-member board.
Everybody
So
should
have
have
the
filed.
township manager or the assistant manager handle
Then
that.
change the procedures.
That's
is
right.
What you're saying,
Thank
but you
you.
can't sit here and say that what she did was wrong because every other time that's the way that the process has
It
gone.
is wrong. It is wrong.
It-
Either
it's
the
not wrong.
attorney needs change, the chairman needs change for doing that, or the process needs change.
But if they would have done what you said, then that would have been okay. I'm just saying, I think that there are a lot of people aren't as informed on what you're talking about here, and you're mincing words, and you're saying
No.
that 3 people were not in favor of it, and we just established here that that is totally incorrect.
Okay.
That the only person that informed Gretchen that they were not in favor of proceeding with an appeal was you. And if everyone knew that there was a deadline, then other people should have been informing her directly they were not in favor of an appeal. Otherwise, it would default back to.
So Frank didn't hear from anyone, and he had already had his vote cast for him.
But Eric,
Something's wrong with that picture.
Tommy sat right
Opportunity
there.
to call her before the deadline and before
And
she
he did
filed.
not do it, and she had already filed the appeal.
Because he knew that what he told Cindy was true. Is that not what you just said? Am I missing
I just
something?
want to be clear. I filed the appeal this afternoon at 3:30. You'll have a timestamp copy of the appeal. It was after I was informed
And
that
Tommy
there is a
said he
majority of
didn't
the
say
board in
nothing
favor
either
of
way.
it. This board will ratify it moving forward. At this point, there's nothing to vote on because we're going to have settlement discussions. And at the next meeting, this board can either decide to ratify moving forward with the appeal and actually filing briefs, or there'll be a settlement that this board can vote on publicly. But that's not going to happen yet.
I'm misunderstanding what you filed for. A very minimal or nominal filing fee was associated with it. You're not saying we're going to draft this big litigation or lawsuit.
It's a
You're saying
one-page
give us some
document.
time to figure this out. We can withdraw it if we want to.
That's correct.
We have a attempt to all get together and have further discussion, which is not something you were able to do before the time that the appeal needed to be filed, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And this
that's all
board
I
can
want.
do any number of those things moving forward, but a one-page document is filed for a notice of appeal.
Okay. And the only other thing, I have some concerns because there seems to be an issue around costs around litigation. But there seems to be things coming from both directions where we're saying, well, this is something we should spend money in going through further litigations on, such as ABB property and recuperating money. But over here are things we shouldn't be spending money on doing further litigation around, like putting proper protections in place and conditions around the conditional use for Bernard Schultz. I'm just saying, if you're going to have a stance around litigation being bad, you can't have it both ways. It's got to be one direction or the
How
other.
about we use the $240,000 that was wasted and will be lost to pay for our future litigation? How about that? Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
I'd like to say, we were all under the impression we were never getting that money back, correct?
That's right. Unless, you want to go to court and fight about it, but under that agreement,
And I
It'd be a
really
big fight.
think us sitting down at a table, face to face, without Range's attorneys, that we can work a lot of this stuff out.
I agree. I mean, we voted, 4-0 to approve the well pad, Bernard Schultz, and you abstained from that vote, right? Is that
Yes.
correct? So, I mean, we all did approve it, Eric. I mean, we just need to sit down and work out some conditional uses with Range. I mean, any more comments from the audience?
That's next.
Hi, Michelle Stonemark, 40 North Apolli. I just have a quick question. Mr. Savavic, you served as the chairman of the
You
board.
could address the board, please.
Hi, board. Mr. Savavic served as your chairman of the board. Was there any circumstances during his tenure as chairman of the board that he, in fact, would call the solicitor himself and tell her a decision that the board had made, such as Ms. Supervisor Fisher did today?
And ask, maybe you could add to that without letting the township manager be made aware of it. He knew when I would call the solicitor. So,
Well, he's not here to answer that, and neither is Cindy, so I don't think that's a point that,
well, then maybe you don't have to ask the question.
well, I just
Ask
want to
it
know,
next month.
I just want to know if, as your position, when you sat as chairperson, if you ever did exactly what Ms. Fisher did today, which I guarantee you did.
No.
I guarantee you called her
Did
and
you
let
just
her,
ask the board and now you're going to make accusations?
well, you refused to answer, did you not?
Thank you for your comments.
Do I need to sit down now, or is it still public comment and freedom of speech? Just wondering.
You'll
Because-
You'll do what you like.
That is true. That is very true. And I'm sure we'll see you on the ballot come November.
What does that mean?
Is there any more comments from the audience? None. This meeting is adjourned at 8:30.
Okay, I will send you all this receipt.